Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage located out in Vancouver, British Columbia. And today, I don't have a moving company owner. I have someone that is going to explain to you how to better yourself in the field of business ownership and I think just like self-improvement. My guest today is Brian Alexander with Ready, Aim, Climb, where he has developed something called the Predictive Index. Brian, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a little idea of what your business is all about?
Yeah. So Ready, Aim, Climb, we basically help business owners build businesses that they don't feel like they have to escape from. I came from building a business where I felt like I built a prison for myself of sorts, and I wanted to make sure we didn't do that or allow anybody else to do that, help business owners understand how to kind of measure twice, cut once. That predictive index is a big piece of it. Right people, right seats, just making sure you're getting people who are wired for a specific role, including you as a business owner, doing all of your highest and best uses of your time, energy, focus, and talents. So that's the kind of high-level overview. But ultimately, it's business operating systems, it's predictive index, behavioral assessments to hire smarter.
I love it because I went ahead on your website and filled it out. It doesn't cost anything. It's, to me, an amazing tool. And now all these PDFs that come in and I'm going, geez, I should just pre-send this out to people that I want to network with and do business with. I should have it on my LinkedIn profile and say, hey, this is me. Here's my profile. And now you know how to talk to me because this is who I am. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, you nailed it. I think, you can't treat other people the way you would want to be treated. You really have to treat them the way they want to be treated. And the only way to do that without guessing is to have that objective data.
Totally. Now, on your website, you also kind of had like a five tier round circle, like a full circle action plan where you talked about the people, the purpose, playbooks, performance, or how to perform and profit. What can you break that down as to each of those topics and why that evolves into a full circle to
So that's actually part of it's part of the Pinnacle business operating system. It always starts with the people. If you don't have the right people in the right seats, then it's going to be a whack-a-mole of people problems no matter what. And I'm sure as business owners, you've experienced it. You might get one portion of your business running well, and then all of a sudden something else breaks or somebody quits or somebody's underperforming or, there's always something, right? And all business problems come down to one fact. They're all people problems at the end of the day. But once you have the right people, you need to have a big enough vision, big enough purpose for all of your employees' hopes and dreams and aspirations to fall under your vision, right? If your vision's not big enough, if your purpose is not big enough, it doesn't rally the troops. It doesn't get people excited to go and do their work. I think people are a lot more interested in, how are they going to make an impact, not only on their paychecks, but on the world in general, especially the younger generation. I'm a little older. I'm kind of in that in-between generation where technically I'm a millennial, but I'm kind of like hugging the line of like the old generation and then the newer generation. But younger people actually haven't really bought into the whole American dream thing as much. They just want to do purposeful work, right? So it's really important that companies grasp onto that concept and really go all in on that if you want to attract young people who are basically A players, right?
And let's expand on that one because it is tough for any industry, of course, but obviously for myself being in the moving industry for 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of exactly what you're saying. There are the young bucks that love to want to, oh yeah, great, I can't wait to start. They come in there and they're usually like, yeah, this is not for me. I was reading somebody's Facebook profile and they had mentioned, they said, well, I hired this, dispatcher, but then I told him, part of the job was to also go out to the trucks and clean the back of the trucks and make sure that's all prepped up and fold pads. And by the end of the day, he sent him a message and says, yeah, I won't be back. So the feed was, well, maybe you didn't explain this in the job profile. Was this in the job description when he started? Did it say, this is your job description. You're going to be folding pads. You're going to be going on the trucks. You're going to have to go and maybe take a truck to go gas it up. Like that's part of your dispatcher position. But it happens a lot where we have individuals that want to come and work. They just want to get paid the big bucks. And that's not even counting people in the office. That's just like in general, from being a mover to be working in the office. How have you found working with business owners? What would be that step to be finding the right people?
Yeah, I mean, really just breaking down, number one, are they wired for the role as you're seeing the role needs, right? They might have been perfect for one compartment of that role, but maybe they're not wired for that other subset of the role. So maybe you have to re-examine what that role does entail. That would be number one, right? If you're having them wear too many hats where they're actually competing in terms of strengths, where, one hat aligns with their strength, the other hat is actually the exact opposite of their strength, so it just drains them. You might have to think about that. And we look at every role individually. I don't care how big of a company. I work with, national paving companies that do $250 million a year, all the way down to gyms and roofing companies. So it doesn't matter. It's all about what is the work that needs to be done, and then who's the person doing the work, and making sure there's behavioral alignment there. So not can they do it, because we can all do and be anything, right? We can put our head down, we can grit and bear it. But the question is not can we do it, but how long can we do it? Can we do it well over a long, sustained period of time? And that's what we measure with that, right?
Interesting. So, I never thought about that one. For the long period of time, right? So
yeah, I don't care if somebody can do it for 3 months. If I have to replace them because they get burnt out or realize it's not for them, then it's the whack-a-mole of people problems. Oftentimes business owners are like, I just need a hot body in the seat. And that's like the kiss of death, because people don't realize how much turnover actually costs them. They just look at it as like, oh, I'll just get somebody else. I'll just get somebody else. But it costs a lot of money to recruit, onboard, retrain, really re-interview, then retrain, get them up to speed and ramped up where they're actually like productive. And that's probably a 4-month period at least by that point. And it costs you probably about 10 times the amount of what the salary would have been if you would have just stopped, slowed down, measured twice, cut once, make sure we're really picking the people that are wired for that role first, right?
Do you find that, like for myself, a lot of times, at least my wife always says it, she's like, you're sometimes a horrible hire, because I always go with my heart compared to, or like instinct going, I think this person's great. The interview, everything kind of works out. And after like 3 weeks, everybody's like, why did you hire this person? This person's horrible. We got to let them go. And for myself as a business owner, I'm like, what did I do wrong? Why was this person totally not working out for the role? Everything looked great on paper. They were awesome in the interview, but is there something that business owners should look out for, or that they can do? Like, where is that cut once template for hiring the right staff?
Yeah. So you're not alone. Literally everybody who's ever hired has made a mistake exactly like that, because we tend to like the people that are most like us, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And we tend to hire the people that are most like us, but it doesn't mean that we would be good at that job either, right? But now we've put them into a position because they might have said all the right things. They might not be self-aware. They might just say, you know what, I want to work for Mark. I love the mission. I love the vision of the company. I know that underneath him, I'm going to grow. I'll do anything. I'll just give it a shot, right? And you say, okay, well, let's give this guy a shot. Let's give this girl a shot. I feel good about them. They're good people overall. And then you set them up to fail because they're not wired for the role. You've never really defined what the behavioral requirements are of the role. So to answer your question in short, every single job would get what we call a job target, right? And, let's take, what's the most common role you hire for? Like actual, like mover?
Yeah, like a mover, or let's say sales.
Okay.
Like you can use a sales position.
Yeah, we'll take two of those, right?
Sure.
Sales, you'll create a specific job target. And how we do that is we basically, we take 3 to 5 stakeholders. And a stakeholder really is just anybody who has good visibility in what that job needs, right? So you took your predictive index and it was for who you are. You would take a similar one identifying what that role actually needs now. But once you take that job assessment for the role and then you have other stakeholders fill it out, we look at that data and we compile a job target that we can now measure and hire against.
Hey everyone, it's Matt with Moving Letters AI. When I started Moving Letters AI, I wanted to do something different and shake up the direct mail space. And that's exactly what we're doing with our handwritten letters. Right now, get 1,000 free golden tickets when you start your campaign, and let's make the difference together. All right, guys, back to Mark.
I like that. Yeah, that would be genius to have that filled out. And then you really are looking at the type of person you're hiring. Now, the next topic was purpose.
Yep. So purpose is all about, having a vision big enough, a purpose big enough that everybody's excited to get up and come to work for you and your company, the impact they're going to make. And if you don't align, why does cleaning that truck out before that truck goes out, how does that impact everybody? How does that impact the movers? How does that impact the customer experience? How does that impact everything? If that person's not bought into the actual, value of the job they have to do, they're never going to be excited to do that type of work.
Makes sense. And when it comes down to, when I always think about purpose, a lot of individuals, especially in the marketing world, is telling a story, right? Having that purpose, having that story within your company that people can resonate to. This is a family-run company, and it went through this many generations. Or, the owner started down here, and he's worked his way up, and you see a lot of coaches these days that are out there. Everybody seems to want to become a coach, and most of them that I see are I have been in jail. I went through recovery. I did all this kind of stuff. It's like that climb of a mountain, and I reached the top. Come join me to the top, and I'll do this. And sometimes I can't resonate with it because I wasn't in that situation. I'm already halfway up the mountain. I just want to get to the top of the mountain. Are you giving me like the hiking poles, or like what are you giving me to get to the rest of the top? But I like the story. I find that if you can't have that story, for many, you can't resonate with that person. Is that also something that you guys work on when it comes down to a purpose?
Yeah, I mean, the core purpose is like the ultimate pinnacle of the business, right? That we established with the business owner. I want to help 5,000 people in the Savannah metro area have the best experience with their move by 2025. And that's the big grand vision, right? Something that's just like unbelievable, almost unattainable unless everything works and everybody steps up and gives 110%. So things like that, right? But it really has to come from the top down from that perspective, but it also has to be inspiring enough for people to buy into it as well.
Sure.
So that's all a big piece of it. Once you have your people in, defining that big pinnacle, that purpose statement, making sure that all of your team members know it by heart, they're aligned to it, they really believe in it. Because if they don't believe in it, or if they're not inspired by it, they might call in sick on a Monday when they might have been able to kind of show up and grit it out a little bit because they knew they would be letting down their team on that mission to impact 5,000 families. So it's one of those big picture, big ideas.
That type of purpose. Yeah. Forget the story. Just scratch it. We'll just edit out what I said earlier. Like we'll just cut that part.
The story is important, but that's probably more like branding and marketing, customer and employee facing. This just kind of supersedes that entire thing. It's like, if you have a big enough why, you can bear anyhow. I forget if it was Friedrich Nietzsche or one of them, who said that. And it's true. Like if you really do have a big enough why, then all of the hurdles and obstacles that would normally stop you on a day-to-day basis, they become things that you would now say, I can't let that stop me because I have this big enough why to keep going. But if you don't have a big enough why, you'll say, well, you know what? It's not going to make a big deal. I'll call in sick. Somebody will cover for me. Not a big deal, right?
And you see that a lot. And especially in this industry, a lot. It's, oh yeah, I looked at the schedule. There's plenty of guys that would be available to work. I'm just going to call in sick. And we even get that with some of our senior guys. And for me, I'm very much about the why. And I really kind of try to remind, especially the drivers, the lead hand, the lead crews, you have the experience. You need to be the lead example. By not showing up, it is like a domino effect for not just that day, not just for that customer, but for the entire company. Because now you have to do this part and that part. All these things have to be fixed because you chose to not want to come into work that day or call in sick. And, the why of the company really kind of comes down to how we want to serve our customer, because we're in a customer service industry. And, we all want to be doing our best, right? Like the why is like to serve our customers and be the best moving company in this area. And that should be the main why for a lot of those guys. Playbooks.
Yeah. So just complete clarity around what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what good looks like, modeling what good looks like, not only, physically, but also like from a documentation standpoint. So there is no room for ambiguity, no room for error. And playbooks are all about just documenting everything, making sure there's no tribal knowledge, training them, retraining them, iterating, making those playbooks better. But it's a really big piece of our Pinnacle business operating system framework is providing as much clarity as you can, simplifying it too, because SOPs are critical. And they're great, but sometimes they're a little too technical, and oftentimes employees just kind of like glaze over when they're reading them. So being able to have SOPs is one layer, but then taking it 10,000 feet above that and really simplifying what that whole play looks like, from driver gets the booking or the call for the move, and then what does the play look like? As if you're drawing out a play for football. What are the steps? What are the plays? What are the items? What are the things that they have to look out for? That's what we were talking about with identifying the playbooks for every single team, every single play within the team, and making it crystal clear.
And I like that. It's a great refresher because in quotes, you said you don't want to just wing it.
Yeah.
And my previous moving company, because I didn't come from a moving experience, I didn't have any mentors when I got into the moving world. The guys that, that were, you could almost say a very loose mentor was horrible. Like, they were cockroaches in the industry and guys you didn't really want to learn from. You want to learn what not to do.
Yeah.
But I just winged it. I winged it for years upon years upon years. And even as I was growing my business, I was constantly hitting a roof because I was just winging it.
Yeah.
I go and look for coaching, mentorship, other moving company business owners, and what gets hounded to me is, well, you need your systems and processes. You need your S&Ps and get these things. And you talk to one guy and he's like, oh yeah, I got, all these different systems in place for this division, this division, this division. Great. And then you talk to another guy, he's like, I got like 300. And they're like, so detailed. They're all in here. And you go through that for years, almost freaking out because which one's better? Do I need the super detailed one? Do I need this? And going on your site and learning a little bit about what the foundation of what you teach and learn and train on is that playbook. And it totally, as you're talking before, it reminds me, and all I think about is that whiteboard that the coach is holding, and it's a football play, it's a hockey play for us Canadians out here, and or a soccer match for the people in Europe, which I can break it really down for everybody. But it's a simplified version of something that's been discussed, and as a very simple, here's your top 10 steps to finish the play. You want to get a goal. This is how you work. This is how you start. This is the teams that you have to work with, and you're going to get that goal, and the team's going to win. So, how simplified can you make it, but that it's still structured in a way that is a playbook? Because you still open up a playbook, and guess what? It's maybe not, a 400-page book, but it's maybe a 20-page quick flip book of these are the plays, this is what needs to be done, and you'll succeed by following that. So I think it's always a great reminder for that as business owners to say, guys, like, they always say like the KISS, right? Like keep it simple, stupid. Like just make it so that it's, if you want to take your company and grow it, you don't want to be handing somebody that's buying a franchise or another location that's opening up to sit there and read a novel and scratch his head the next day going, I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. And especially in that regard, right? Like if you're building to sell, SOPs are important. I think playbooks are a lot more valuable to anybody looking to buy it because they're going to see it from that 10,000 foot level. They're not getting into the weeds, right? They need literally a playbook for the entire business, and that shouldn't be that big at all. It should be very simple. And the playbooks are meant to be iterated, right? They should be practiced. They should be talked about frequently. They should be iterated and made better by the people executing the plays. The people in the trenches, the people that are in the streets doing the work, they're going to have really good insights and saying, maybe we can do this better, more efficiently, maybe better quality. Having that input and having constant, touch points with the team to talk bigger picture is really important as well.
Yeah. I think it's great. Next one, perform.
Yeah, perform is all about now tracking KPIs, creating scoreboards, making sure that you're showing them what winning the week looks like for each of their positions. And every position is going to look a little bit differently. But really just holding people accountable, measuring progress, measuring performance, and then coaching to fill some of the gaps to improve the performance. But without measuring it in a meaningful, simple way, there's no way you're going to be able to improve anything.
Now, do you always recommend somebody having these KPIs within their CRM system? Is there any type of performance metrics software that you recommend, or something that you have internally when you're working with these companies? Like, how do you handle performance?
We're pretty agnostic with how you want to do it. Everybody has their own kind of take on what they want to use. We create dashboards. I've seen spreadsheets work. I've seen 90IO is like a software that houses everything for our clients that you can custom build dashboards and KPIs. So I think at the end of the day, it's just agreeing on what the KPIs are, understanding where the dashboards sit, and then making sure that everybody's aware of, from a team member perspective, like what does winning the week actually look like? Like show me. Right. What is a perfect week? And then we're going to measure off of that, right?
Mover Marketing AI is changing the game for moving companies with their innovative digital marketing solutions. I've been working with them on my SEO and website, and the results are incredible. My online presence has improved, making my site both visually appealing and highly visible to potential customers. But that's not all they do. Mover Marketing AI offers a full range of services, from engaging social media management to robust branding, advertising, and public relations. They help you build a strong, trustworthy brand. If you're ready to elevate your moving business, I highly recommend Mover Marketing AI. They've been a game changer for me, and they can be for you too. Thanks to Mover Marketing AI for sponsoring this episode and for their support. And a fun twist. This isn't actually me speaking. It's a digital replication of my voice using AI. Pretty cool, right? Now let's get on with the podcast.
And who would you recommend within the company should be building that? Should it be the owner that's trying to build a KPI? Would you delegate that to somebody else? Would you just have like a VA take all of this data and kind of plug it in? Like, it just seems always such excruciating to get, it's one of the vital points of your business, but also like the most painstaking thing to do, because you're trying to read all these reports and build all these different, stats so that you can run them and follow them and then review them. I know guys that have like 10 TVs in their office and they're just reviewing all these different stats. It's like, holy, gets wild and crazy.
That's a really good question. Creating the KPIs and understanding what the key data points and metrics we're going to be looking at should be the owner, and then whatever the department head would be. if it's sales, if it's ops, whatever it might be. But once you've decided on all that, like I'm a big believer in delegating. VAs, you can get a full-time executive VA for $2,000 who can run circles around, a $60,000 a year person on site if you want to, if you have to cut costs. But you, as the business owner, shouldn't be doing $25 an hour tasks. That data, the scoreboards and the KPIs, analyzing the data and knowing what to do with it and what levers to pull, that's your job as the executive. It's not your job to pull the data, right? But you do have to understand what it should look like, and you have to make sure they're pulling the right data. But once you have a system in place there, you have to outsource that. As a business owner, if you're doing $25 an hour, tasks, you are shooting yourself in the foot, and you're hurting your entire team, actually.
Right. Yeah, which totally makes sense. So we found the people, we have the purpose that everybody's on the same page for. We've worked on playbooks to simplify these tasks so that every department head, everybody that's on your team understands from start to finish, this is how we're going to win.
Yeah.
We've now worked on the performance. We want to like magnify each person to make sure that they are reaching those goals, those targets, and not just doing it for the company, but doing it for themselves so that they feel good about themselves that they've reached this goal.
Yeah.
Lastly, we got profit.
Yeah.
That's the big one. That's what we all want, right? We all want to walk away as business owners with profit. So how do you guys work on that part?
Yeah. So revenue is good. Profit is better. And profit is not a dirty word. Profit is basically just feedback from the marketplace on the value you're bringing to the marketplace, right? So if you're at an extremely low profit margin, your clients and customers probably don't think you're bringing enough value. Can it be remedied? Absolutely. We have tools that we track profit per X, and X could be anything, profit per new move, profit per, second customers, like referral customers or second time customers. You want to track some of that. We identify what the most important metrics are. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to build an amazing company, if you don't want to do $25 an hour tasks, if you want to have great holiday parties, if you want to attract top talent, you got to have profit. So profit is a big piece to it all. But really, basically just, if you do 4 of the things right, 5 will come.
So we've hit through these 5, and I kind of want to now take a step back with you, Brian. What made you want to get started in doing this? What was the drive? Did you go to school for it? Do you have a team? What was the idea behind Ready, Aim, Climb?
I did it wrong myself, right? I was in business myself. I was coaching other business owners, and I just had to figure out a better way to do it. And I love frameworks, right? Proven frameworks that have been around for a while, that are tried and true, that you can plug and play to solve problems. And Predictive Index and Pinnacle were 2 of those that allowed me to solve business owners' problems, including my own, simply, repeatably, and predictably. And that's kind of the genesis of Ready, Aim, Climb. It started about 10 years ago. And ever since then, it's just been amazing because it really doesn't matter what industry it is. People problems are people problems. Businesses need systems. They need proven frameworks and structures that they can scale. And if you don't have that, you can't scale your business. You're just stuck in hopefully you're stuck in a high-paying job, but more often than not, you're in a very low-paying job. You've sacrificed your entire life. And I talked about, kind of feeling like you've built a little prison for yourself. I did that to a point myself, and I caught myself well before it was too late and turned it around. And it was just so exciting to be able to do that and help other people that that's been my main focus for the last 10 years or so.
Wow. And where are you based out of?
I was born and raised in Chicago, and now I'm in Savannah, Georgia. I moved in January of 2021. So big move, big family move. I have 2 daughters, and we homeschool our daughters, and it's kind of like a big family focus kind of life that I've built. So Savannah is a very small market compared to Chicago, as you can imagine.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So it's been fun. I've had to definitely, get really good at virtual Zoom meetings, Zoom delivering of presentations and stuff like that. But I'm a big people person, in person, face-to-face kind of person as well. So I travel quite a bit because of that, because there's not as much business as Savannah. So I'm all over the place.
And for your business, who would be your ideal client? Like someone, like what would be the ideal people that you work with? 'Cause you said you work with a variety of different businesses and types of businesses, but who are those clients that should fill it out? Because like for myself, I'm like, okay, cool. And people are going to find out, well, listening to this, that within the links, we're going to have the link for yourself to fill out the predictive index. And if you want to have a call with Brian, fantastic. He can definitely set something up with you, but I can just go on your site and do this all the time. Well, like what, as a business owner, like who are you looking for to take that coaching step to help make sure that they are following these 5 Ps?
Yeah, I mean, it's really people that want to build a business that's, what I call in a category of one, right? They want to be the top person in their industry. They want to build a life for themselves, that they're not just, working 60 hours a week, grinding. Not to say I don't believe in hard work, but I really believe that you have to want to build kind of a bit of freedom for yourself, time freedom, and then the ability to just think about the business as well, rather than just be in the business. All the time. When we pull owners out for a day, we do a day-long training to kick things off-site. It's unbelievable the things that they've never even thought about their business. When we just start talking and mapping things out, it's so important. You got to escape your business at least once a quarter, period. Otherwise, you're going to just be stuck in that rut and constantly doing the same thing over and over again. Revenue wise, it's not even about like they have to do 5 million or 3 million. We can scale down and usually once people have something going, maybe it's a smaller company, but they have something moving. Maybe they do, $500,000 or something along those lines. We can help them rapidly scale without having those backslides as well. So, if they want to 5X their revenue in 3 years and do it profitably, that's something we can help with, right?
And what makes you different than the guys like Andy Elliott and Grant Cardone and all these guys that are out there, 10Xing this and 20Xing that and building it up? Like what makes your company stand out from the rest of them?
Yeah.
Like, is there something in particular that you guys focus on or do? Because to me, I look at those players and I know friends that have signed up for it, and I always shake my head going, well, I don't know how I can 10X my company and profit when all my profit is going to those guys making a lot of money trying to coach me on things that are pretty basic, things that I should know already, but they do have value. I'm not knocking anybody on that. It just always just seems so expensive, right? To be part of these coaching programs. And you mentioned, well, if I'm doing $500,000 in business, that's not bad. And hopefully that company is doing well. And they obviously at that point are really trying to want to go to the next step, right? They should be doing, 2 to 5 million, and it might take them 5-10 years. You can make it a lot faster for them by implementing these steps. What sets you apart?
Yeah, I mean, from them, really, it's more of a personal approach. There's no courses, there's no modules, there's no minimum dollar offer. It's me working with you and your executive team or leadership team on a quarterly basis, solving problems, number one, setting out the 30, 60, 90-day plan, setting rocks, all the knowing what levers to pull and when is why coaches who are worth their salt get paid the big bucks. But it's actually not even my job to tell you what to do. The answer is always in the room. It's my job to really facilitate and ask really good questions to guide you guys, right? To make the best decisions for yourself, and then apply and bring the tools in, the right tools at the right time to then help you do that. So, there's a lot of good coaches out there. There's definitely a lot of coaches that give all coaches bad names. So I'd just be hyper vigilant and careful, and just make sure that you, as you're working with a coach, you can trust them. There's a proven method that they're using and following, and ultimately that you want them to be your guide as you climb the mountain, right? If you don't trust your guide and you're climbing a mountain and you're stuck halfway up the mountain, then that's a big problem. So I can see where there's a bit of skepticism around coaching. It's just I think smaller coaches who maybe max out at 15 to 20 clients, but they do it really well. That's a really nice niche that you can be sure that person's going to have the time, the focus, and energy to be able to focus on you. And that's kind of where I focus and fall. I don't want to work with 100 clients. I want to work with 20 good ones. And maybe, after 3 or 4 years, one graduates and I bring on another client. So there's so many different models out there, though.
Which I like. And I want the listeners out there to know I actually don't work with Brian. Brian didn't find me out and says, hey, cool, can I be on your podcast to advertise my coaching business or anything else? I really just love this predictive index. I love the simplicity of these 5 Ps, if I call them. I don't even know if you use that terminology, but I think it's very purposeful. If I said that correctly, I don't know, but it's fine. I like that it's simplified and it makes sense. I'd like to be simplified because I got to think of all the other big things out there. And I think Brian's just a great guy. I think, for someone that wants to help business owners succeed, I would definitely fill out the predictive index, go on their website and check it out, and also reach out to Brian because I'm sure he can help you elevate your business. And he's probably open for a call as well too. Now, you went from Chicago to Savannah, Georgia. You rent one of those U-Hauls, or did you actually use a moving company? What did you do?
So it was after 2020, and my wife and I just kind of had it with Chicago and the Midwest. Chicago specifically had pretty strict lockdowns at the time. And it was just a rough year, rough weather in Chicago during the lockdowns, rough year. Just everything kind of built up to a pressure point where my wife and I just decided, let's try something new. And so we didn't pay for a moving company. We actually packed up our 2 cars with all the stuff we can take. We packed our 2 dogs and our 2 children, and we literally rented an apartment with just that. We drove down to Savannah, just brought 2 cars, 2 kids, 2 dogs, and all the stuff we can take, and literally just bought some new mattresses and a couch. Everything else, furniture-wise, we just bought from Facebook Marketplace at the point, and we just moved. We did it.
Sounds like a great reality show. 2 dogs, 2 children, 2 cars. Boy, oh boy, I would pick and choose. I'd do a swap and be like, okay, we're going to put all the dogs and the kids in one car. We'll drive for 2-3 hours, and then we'll switch. And then you get some peace and quiet for a couple hours, and then we'll switch again.
Yeah, so, no, that didn't work out too well, but
yeah, that's impressive. Well, it's awesome to have you on the show, Brian. I really appreciate your time and coming on. And I feel like for those that were listening that are just winging it, check it out. Check out the site. We'll have his profile and everything in the descriptions for Spotify and on YouTube. And thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah,
of course. And again, as a business owner and a leader, ultimately, for all of you listening, the number one trait for a great leader is self-awareness. So at a very minimum, you can fill out that predictive index for free on readyandclimb.com, and you'll get a 5-page report kit on how you're wired. And that's step 1 to becoming a great leader and a great business owner and CEO. So if that's all you do, there's a ton of value just in that, and it's free. So just leaving you with that small tidbit of leadership advice. And I had to look in that proverbial mirror of leadership at one point in my life. It was back in about 2016, and I did not like the leader that was looking back at myself in the mirror. And I took that long, deep dive into myself and understanding how I'm wired. And once you know how you're wired, you can better lead and have empathy and understanding for other people. But more importantly, you can put them into positions to thrive and succeed and not ruin great people by setting them up to fail in the wrong positions. So if that's
go fill it out for sure.
Yeah, that's my gold nugget, my takeaway. It's like there's you can't lose. You have to know how you're wired, period. Life becomes so much easier as a business owner once you just do that.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs, there's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up training yet, get a demo done, get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up training today.